Hello and welcome to Inside the Nest. I'm Kayla Francione, and it is a big weekend for Montclair State soccer. Both the men and women will compete in the semifinal rounds of the NJAC tournament. With the men ranked number 1 and the women ranked number 2, both have high expectations going into this year's tournament. We have two of our own, Jack Bartek and John Kosoban, here with us to talk about the team's seasons. So Jack, how do you think the men got to this point?
Well, Kayla, it has certainly been a fun season for the men's soccer team. They have dominated in the conference this year. They went 4-0. They lead the conference in goals for and goals against with a big fat 0. They haven't given up a goal all season long, so you can see the level they're playing at as we look ahead to the playoffs. And I think it starts with Coach Todd Temelty, right? In his 10th season, he's done such a great job with this program. 13 out of the last 14 years they've been to the NCAA tournament. And the last 2 seasons, they've ended up in the Elite Eight. So you can see he's building that winning culture. And then on top of that, I think he's created a family-like atmosphere. You look at last semester when the season was in flux due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you could just see the bond between this team, not only within themselves, but with the coaches as well. And I think it's shown in the results this season how close they are.
Yeah, Jack, they've been really fun to watch. And so have the women's team, by the way, coming off a campaign, 3 wins, 2 double overtime ties. They have been really tough, really resilient. That mindset has been clear this entire time. If you want to summarize the season, look no further than those 2 scoreless contests. They bookended the season, that opener versus Stockton, and then the finale against Rutgers Camden. And it really represents what this team is about. And Coach Pat Naughter has been instrumental in this. He's an institution at the program. 2 NJAC titles to his name, the winningest coach in its history. The last title, by the way, coming in 2014, and he's hungry. He wants to get back here, especially with the way that last season ended back in 2019, that finals loss to TC&J. So he's hungry, his team is hungry, and from what I've seen from them, they can do it.
So as this season has gone on and looking ahead to the playoffs, who is someone from each of these teams, in your opinions, that's going to be a key component in advancing to the NJAC championship?
Well, I'll start on the men's side. For me, it's got to be goalkeeper Shane Keenan. I mean, I told you guys about how 0 goals allowed all season long. And although the defense has been spectacular, and in the one game he didn't start, they also kept a clean sheet. I think that Shane Keenan has been spectacular this season. And you look ahead to the playoffs, you can't win a game with 0 goals on the board. So as long as Montclair State has Keenan back there as the last line of defense, I have to imagine they feel pretty good heading towards playoff time.
Yeah, and I got to go with his equivalent for the women, Phoebe Bledsoe, right? It's her senior year. She's been in goal all season. She's fresh off a Defensive Player of the Week award as well. She's been really impressive to watch. The big thing about her is that I mentioned that 2019 tournament run. She didn't play, right? She was hurt, so she missed out on that semis and that finals matchup. So to have her this time around is a huge boost for this team, and I'm excited to see what she can do with the opportunity.
And for this semifinal game against Stockton, what are the keys for the women to come out with a win?
I'll tell you what, Pitzer might as well be a vaccine distribution center with the amount of shots that are going to be taken and have been taken all season. It's been Montclair's MO since game 1 in that first matchup against Stockton. They outshot them 31-3, and then they just proceeded to steamroll the rest of the conference in that category as well. So I don't expect any of that to change there. And then also with Stockton, this is the most disciplined team in the conference. They only average about 4 fouls a game, so they don't make mistakes. They don't give you anything easy. So if you're Montclair, if they do happen to give you something, you have to take advantage, and I think they will.
And how about for the men against Rutgers Camden, Jack?
Well, I mean, I was surprised to see Rutgers Camden with the upset, the 5 seed over the 4 seed, winning 2-1 the other day. And it just goes to show you they can go on the road and beat a higher seeded opponent. But now the matchup with Montclair State. They met earlier in April. Montclair State came out on top 2-0. You mentioned it on the women's side, discipline. I think that the men's team has to focus on discipline for a different reason. Rutgers Camden was the least disciplined team in the conference. They led the conference in fouls and yellow cards, and when they met in early April, there was 5 yellow cards between both of those teams. So something to look for, something for Montclair State to capitalize on. And then also I think they got to get on the board first. They haven't had to play from behind all season long, and the other day against Stockton, Juan Bahena, the Rutgers Camden goalkeeper, kept Stockton off the board for 89 minutes before allowing a late goal. So he's bringing his best stuff for the playoffs. The guy I would look for to get a goal for Montclair State will be John Bicagdo. Leads the team in goals and shots on goal, so keep an eye on him in this matchup.
Well, guys, great insight. Thank you so much for coming in. Now let's send it to John Edmonds at Pitzer Field.
Both Montclair State's men's and women's soccer team secured NJAC semifinals play due to an excellent season they've been having so far. While they do understand the regular season is one thing, the NJAC tournament is a whole different ballgame. The number 2 Montclair State took on number 3 Stockton University. The freshman Aileen Cahill gets her second goal on the season with an assist by Lauren Ernst to put them on the board 1-0. Stockton took 9 shots and missed them all. Defensive Player of the Week Phoebe Bledsoe had a great game with 5 saves. On the heels of Bledsoe, the Red Hawks defense held strong, taking the 1-0 victory and earning a top spot in the NJAC finals against the number 1 seed, Rutgers Camden.
It feels amazing, obviously. I don't know. Just happy for the whole team that we can be going on to the next round and stuff, and just did whatever it takes, and luckily we got that goal. So
really executed our game plan to a T. We did what we needed to do. We been practicing so hard, so everything working up to it, we just put it all together.
We did a very good job defensively. We were super organized. For me, I thought we battled them. We matched their intensity.
It would be so cool, my first year and stuff, being able to win with this team, where everybody is just so nice and supportive and everything. I think it would be awesome for our team to be able to do it.
We don't need a victory to validate that this is a special group. But it would be really sweet. I want them to be rewarded and to get it. We're playing the last game of the year, and if you have a chance to win that, man, that would be so sick.
So much to me. I've worked so hard from day one. I know my whole team thought everybody has, but in the 4 years I've been here, I haven't had one. Or the team hasn't had one, and I just know it would mean the world to everybody.
This took an absolute ton out of us. We got to get our legs back underneath us. What we need to do is be us. Hopefully the ball bounces the right way for us, but we just got to be us, and we got to be the best version of ourselves we can be, and this group's been amazing, so I like our chances.
The women took care of business in the morning session. Then it was the men's turn to secure a spot in the NJAC finals, taking on number 5 seeded Rutgers Camden, already beating them once this season. In the first 10 minutes of the game, defender Daniel Rodriguez scored his first goal of the season with an assist by Osben Mendez. Rutgers Camden wouldn't take too long to answer back as Kadio Kitazawa scored a goal of his own with an assist by Parker Soloway. That was the first goal in 13 shots that Shane Keenan led up all season. Montclair scores 2 more in the second half, one by the senior Stefan Koroman, getting his first goal of the season, and moments later, Giancarlo Altamirano hits a goal that ices the game. Great touch passes in the box. MSU kept the Scarlet Raptors scoreless in the second half, and tension started to flare. Rutgers Camden feeling their season coming to an end, but cooler heads prevailed, with Montclair winning 3-1.
They obviously scored first goal we've been scored on all year, and I think the guys were a little bit shocked by that. They weren't expecting that. So what I said, look, it's a 0-0 game. We've had 4 or 5 chances we could have had in the first half. If we can finish those chances, the game's going to end 3-1, 4-1, and that's exactly what happened.
We were able to put 3 in on them, but in all honesty, we defended really well. We limited their shots and their opportunities, and that was what determined the outcome of the game.
I think the team's pretty deep, so we were able to rotate different guys in, and that allowed us to tire them out. And as you could see towards the end of the game, that's where we were able to get those last 2 goals that we needed, because the other team just kind of fizzled out.
I think the boys, they do well week in and week out. I think that we just have to come in prepared to play defensively and just be calm and composed. And I don't think anyone could stop us in this league. And I think, we're going to take the dub.
So as you can see, both men's and women's teams secured NJAC final spots in championship games that will be taking place on Wednesday the 14th. Now let's hear a little from Coach Potts on how him and his men's basketball team is bringing a little good luck to both teams.
We've had conversations with Steph, who runs game day ops. Our guys were looking for some on-campus work, and I think they've been at every one the last 2 or 3 weeks. And they were actually walking off the field today saying they need to work Wednesday because they're bringing good luck. I don't know if that's the case, but again, I think supporting student athletes is always a good thing.
The baseball team takes on TCNJ at Yogi Berra Stadium and looks to continue their win streak as they previously beat them 9-0 on Thursday. Top of the first, runners on the corners, 2 outs, TCNJ with the early 4-0 lead, and Nick Francisco at the plate singles up the middle that scores Ryan Goodall and sends Aiden Chavez to third, making it 5-0 to cap off a big first inning. MSU immediately responded with runs of their own in the bottom of the first, highlighted by Michael Murphy's at-bat with guys on second and third. He'd get under a ball, sending it deep enough to right field for a sac fly. Peter Cosentino would score, and Andrew Olwerther would advance to third, giving the Redhawks their third run of the inning. Advancing to the third inning, where Montclair's run-scoring frenzy continues, Murphy, Marco Montiero, and Joe Norton would all have doubles in the inning that would each bring in runs, giving MSU an 8-5 lead as they start to break the game open. Next inning, with MSU running away with the game, Olwerther would hit a grounder to short but reach safely on a throwing error that would cause 3 runs to score, which was part of how the Redhawks would score 9 runs, giving them a 17-5 lead by the end of the inning. At that point, there was no coming back for TCNJ. Redhawks would win by a final of 21-5, their largest win margin of the year. In the Saturday doubleheader against Stockton, there was absolute fireworks in Game 2.
Winning run in scoring position.
Jason Moore at the plate and cracks one to left field. That one is deep, and it's out of here! A 3-run walk-off homer for Jason Moore, and the Redhawks win it in 10.
Oh, it doesn't get much better than that, does it, John?
Cannot believe what I just witnessed here on Yogi Berra Stadium. A 3-run walk-off shot for Jason Moore.
I am joined by the hero himself, Jason Moore. Jason, welcome to Inside the Nest, and thank you for taking time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Jason, let's dive right into it. Talk us through the last at-bat. It's extra innings, bottom of the 10th, 2 on base, 1 on first, 1 on second. That is a lot of pressure, so tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know, it's just as much pressure for, the other pitcher. The other team's feeling the same thing we are. He's got to go out there and, try to execute a good pitch. And, I just saw, the first good pitch that he threw to hit, and I just tried to capitalize, and it worked out.
Definitely did. Home run to left field. That was your second home run of the season, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It was also a doubleheader, and you guys had lost the first 7-3. So come back in the bottom of the ninth in Game 2. It was honestly more than just a single game comeback. It was the comeback off the loss. So plus you beat them twice already this season. So what did that second game comeback win mean to you and the team?
It meant a lot. I mean, I think that we have a lot of confidence in ourselves, and we had a little bit of a letdown in the first game, but I don't really think we let that get to us too much in the second game. I think we stayed confident in our ability to go out there and get a win. And, coming down conference games, really big games, and you can't feel sorry for yourself. You got to go out there and figure out any way to get as many wins as possible before the season's over.
So how are you guys going to approach the remainder of the season? Hopes for the playoffs, things you want to work on, anything like that?
I've been around this in this program for 3 years now, and I really think that this year could be our year. I think that this has been the best our team has been since I've been here, and I think we're kind of getting back to the historical roots of Montclair State baseball. We have 3 national titles, and I really think that this year we can make a deep run, and not only the NJAC playoffs, but I think we can stack up against some of the best teams in the country.
Well, I hope it happens, and that is a wrap on this interview. So congratulations again on the walk-off homer for the win. Thank you for talking to us, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
On a beautiful Saturday afternoon, the Montclair State men's lacrosse team was looking to earn their first CSAC win of the season as they hosted Keystone College. Early on, the Redhawks really got after it. Matt Dansex found the back of the net from the distance to go up 1-0, one of 2 goals on the day. 30 seconds later, Tyler McCreary found John Moran right in front of the goal on an easy tap-in and a quick 2-0 lead. The Redhawks began to take control 10 minutes left in the first. Christian Boyle stumbled and got back up to assist Joe Covino's strike for a 4-0 lead. He also had 2 goals. Still in the first, the Redhawks kept the pressure on. DJ Baranuk made it 7-0 with a clever move and finish. With 6 seconds remaining in the first quarter, Connor McCoy found Robert Brennan in the middle for an easy score. The Redhawks led 8-0 at the end of the first. After a save from Christian Wagner, Montclair was on the counter, taking it upfield here as Aiden Maxwell crosses it over to Brennan for his second goal of the day on the 12th goal of the season. It was a complete team performance as the Redhawks won by a score of 20-1.
There's always a driving force behind every great team, and for Montclair State, that force comes from a pair of powerful brothers.
Tyler McCreary is a native of Bud Lake, New Jersey. He attended Mount Olive High School, where he was first-team All-State and first-team All-Northwest Jersey Conference.
Unlike many other players, he got started a little late and didn't start playing until he was in the 6th grade, and he credits much of that to his little brother Mike.
And I was always just fascinated by the way he was always playing, and I kind of liked the sport, so I was every once in a while I'd be hey, you want to let me use one of your backup sticks? The following season, I decided to start.
The McCreary brothers have always been a lethal 1-2 punch because of the chemistry they developed at such a young age at a simple summer camp.
So we used to go down there every summer, and we used to sign up for this camp called Camp Brothers. So my oldest brother actually played for a little, and then he dropped off, and then my littlest brother played, and then he dropped off. So it was just me and Tybe still playing, and that was almost like a realization, we're still in it.
Coming to MSU was a no-brainer for Tyler because of the late former head coach Mike Schambach, who tragically passed away due to colon cancer at the age of 38.
He recruited me, he watched me play sophomore, junior, senior year of high school. He's always in the back of my head on trying to just better myself because he was out on the field the year before I got there, fighting for his life and always putting everyone else in front of him first.
While leading the team, Tyler serves as a role model for other players on his team, leading by example. This caught the attention of head coach Matt Posquet heading into the season.
He's kind of a lead by example kind of guy. He every day in practice, he's the first in sprints, or at least the top, one of the top guys in every sprint. The kind of complete package of what he brings every day for us.
This season has been a success so far for Tyler as he leads MSU in points, goals, and assists, while Mike is tied for second in assists and third in points. The brothers will continue to lead the charge as Montclair looks to capture the CSAC championship with 4 games remaining left in the regular season.
Time to take a look at our Redhawks on the road this past week, starting with the women's lacrosse team. They stayed undefeated, taking down Kane 14-5. The baseball team went down to TCNJ and came home victorious 9-0 behind Peter Costantino's 2-home run performance. The softball team had a pair of doubleheaders, sweeping Rutgers Newark on Tuesday before splitting a pair with Rutgers Camden on Saturday. And the men's and women's track and field teams cleaned up in their meet at Ramapo College with Cam Martin, Nana Anti, Damian Valentine, John Griffith, Sebastian Cortez, Emily Albright, Tara Mastriani, and Christine Griffith all placing first in their respective events. Here is what to watch for this week. Starting on Wednesday, our men's and women's soccer teams will fight for the NJAC crown, with the men welcoming 3-seeded Ramapo to Pitzer Field at 6 p.m. And the women go on the road at 7 p.m. to take on the 1-seeded Rutgers Camden for the conference title, looking to pull off the upset. Hopefully our soccer teams can bring home some hardware this week. The nationally ranked women's lacrosse team looks to stay undefeated, hosting a pair of NJAC opponents, Kane on Tuesday and Stockton on Saturday. Coming off a walk-off win, the baseball team has a Thursday-Friday series with Rutgers Newark before taking on Rutgers Camden in a doubleheader at Yogi Berra Stadium on Saturday. The softball team looks to build some momentum. They have a pair of doubleheaders on Tuesday versus Ramapo and Saturday at TCNJ. The men's lacrosse team looks to build off their huge victory, hosting Bryn Athens on Saturday, looking to carry some of that momentum over. And last but certainly not least, the men's and women's outdoor track and field teams head to Stockton for their third meet of the season.
The Redhawks piled up the NJAC honors this week as 10 different players took home awards for leading their teams. After a stellar season leading the Redhawks, Taylor Brown was named NJAC Player of the Year and named First Team All-Conference. Freshman Kendall Hodges took home a Second Team All-Conference award after winning the NJAC Rookie of the Week 3 times. Football saw 3 players earn honors after shutting out William Patterson. Abilene Mendez took home Offensive Player of the Week, Zach Saccone took home Defensive Player of the Week, and Ian Johnson won Special Teams Player of the Week. Women's lacrosse goalkeeper Alan Lillian took home Defensive Player of the Week honors after tying the school record with 25 saves, defeating TCNJ for the first time in school history. 3 men's soccer players took home honors as Brent Llewellyn was named Offensive Player of the Week, Shane Keenan Defensive Player of the Week, and Michael Casper was named Rookie of the Week. Phoebe Bledsoe was named Women's Soccer Defensive Player of the Week after her 3rd shutout of the year against Rutgers Camden.
It's always fun to recognize the accomplishments of our Redhawks, but what you might not know is that they wouldn't even be called Redhawks if not for one forward-thinking decision. Every semester, the School of Communication and Media gets together in a collaborative effort to highlight different social issues around the world today. This semester's project is called Focus Racial Justice. Let's see how MSU was ahead of the curve. When you think of Montclair State University, the Red Hawk is synonymous, but it wasn't always that way. This is the mascot of old. The logo referred to as Chief Wahoo, representing the school's nickname, the Indians. Implemented in the 1930s, that name and logo presided over Montclair athletics for over 50 years, even appearing on the caps of the school's 1987 National Championship baseball team. Just 2 years later, though, the school decided it was time for a change. Gregory Lockard, the athletic director at the time, had this to say about the decision. The names of teams and institutional images were part of societal discussions at that time, and it made sense for Montclair State to consider a change in our mascot and image. I was proud of our decision to change the name at the time, and I'm certainly proud now for the timing of the change. Dr. Gene Armstrong was the VP of Student Development and Campus Life, and the two of us believed it was the right decision. I was also interested in having a logo, image, and mascot that we could utilize broadly and not be offensive in any way. In many ways, MSU is ahead of the curve, as much of the conversation around the insensitivity of those names has been around for a while, but major action has only just recently taken place. In the NFL, the former Washington Redskins played last season as the Washington Football Team, and in the MLB, the Cleveland Indians franchise has pledged to change their name within the next 2 years. Others, like the NCAA's Florida State Seminoles, have expressed their willingness to stand pat. The university has a long-standing partnership with the Seminole Tribe of Florida and continues to work collaboratively with them, even receiving a public show of support from the tribe in 2005, so the issue is clearly a nuanced one. Dr. Mark Clatterbuck, an associate professor of religion at Montclair with a specialization in indigenous religion, spoke about the impact the popularity of these names have on indigenous youth in the country.
There's a lot of research that's been done on the effects that Indian mascots and derogatory portrayals and representation of indigenous people has on indigenous youth in terms of the way they view themselves. That data is there, it's available. So you've got to either dismiss it or act like you don't see it, or just say, we don't care. Our brand is more important to us than the psychological and emotional and social well-being of indigenous people in this country.
Today, the conversation continues, and there are still plenty of decisions to be made. For Montclair State, that decision was made a long time ago. And the result? A name and brand we couldn't imagine campus without.
I think we've done a nice job of building up the Red Hawks. I think people know, I think people identify us, which is the idea. And we're still building it. We're still, building the logo, building the brand, and, trying to expand it and get it out, not only so it's local on campus, local community, state, regional. We want to get it bigger and bigger. And we're in the process of doing that. And I think it's been working. I think it's been great.